So the difference with this carving from the work I usually do is, in this case, the painted part of the decoration is not the background but the foreground. So what I have done this time is painted the drawer front first and am now carving it. And this carving is all struck with gouges, not cut out with a V-tool at all. So I'm using a couple different gouges here to outline the pattern, and then I'll switch to a shallow tool to cut the background. A little bit of chisel work to get a straight line right there where it meets that border. I don't know if I said this is a drawer front for a cupboard I'm making. So you cut through the paint to the raw oak beneath and leave the foreground of the carving with the black paint. The paint I made with linseed oil and a thinner and a fast drying medium added to the linseed oil and thinner to get the paint to dry in a timely fashion. And then scratched the geometry in with a compass and an awl and a marking gauge. So there I'm just trying to separate the foreground and the background. Once I have that that outline defined, then I switch to a slightly larger gouge and use a mallet to take that stuff down. Then I'll do a final cleanup, probably with hand pressure. But this just gets the stuff out of the way a little quicker. It's harder to carve really shallow. I guess 30 years of carving to a little greater depth than that makes it hard to have it to break. And there'll certainly be some touch up with some black paint when the drawer is all done. But there's the general pattern roughed up, so you see a place like that needs a little touch up with the black. So carving this when it's painted isn't much different than carving it when it isn't. It's a little harder to see maybe. What I've done is struck that outline with a compass. I used a center line with a marking gauge and an awl, and so on. So now it's a matter of cutting along there. The parts I'm going to do first are the parts in between the lunettes. And for that, I've just picked up this maybe 5/8 inch wide gouge, and I'm eyeballing where these little half round pieces hit the margins. And it's just generally centered between these segments. Except that one isn't centered. And from there, I go to a chisel, and you have to be careful making this cut along the margin, because the chisel can start a split, which would not be what you need. Take an otherwise fine day and ruin it. So all of this is in lieu of a V-tool. This carving does not outline its stuff with a V-tool. And whether you paint it first or carve it and then paint it, I know for a fact both approaches work, because last year when I carved this drawer front, I carved it first, and this year I painted it first, and both of them will work. I don't know which one is easier, or if there's really a difference. So that's the chisel work along the margins. Now the outer part of these arcs is struck with this very wide gouge that has just the right curvature for these half circles. And these particular circles worked out to be just over 1.75 inches per radius. And I'll use a slightly narrower one of these gouges for the inner part of this circle. But let me cut some of that down so you can see what I'm after here. So now, using a tool that's nearly flat, I'm just going to take that background down to those cuts that I just incised. Like that. I know I just stepped right in front of the camera there. But that is the gist of it. Here you'll see that little half round that results from those first cuts I made. Out to the margin there, and like that. nice thing about doing it with the painting first is as you carve it, you instantly see what the result is going to look like. Most period carvings that I know of that have paint on them, it's the background that's painted, not this foreground. This particular one is different though. Well, that one got a little out of its outline there. Now I need half of one of these leafy shapes here. Like that. And a narrower chisel. And now, as I said, a narrower gouge to do the inside of these curves. And if you don't have the gouges that exactly match those curves, then you go to something narrower still and can sort of dogleg it along there. Ideally, what you would do is all this incised work, get it all done, and then cut all the background down. But I want to show you some of the steps rather than carve the whole thing on the video. Last year I probably went over the layout and all the carving. You just have to be careful when you're doing all this hand pressure work. It's easy to slip